Ladies and gents, welcome back. It's been a struggle over the past few years to get any attention on the media or in the courts. And well, we are making some progress now. And some people who have been affected by the vaccinations that have been forced on all of us over the past few years with the coercion that was brought in to let us go back to a normal life. Well, some people haven't gone back to a normal life. And this is why people are seeking damages now from our federal government and the people who encourage us to do this and take these experimental procedures, I guess as you could call it. And today I have a guest with her lawyer, Carrie Sakamoto. Is that how you pronounce that? Sorry?
It is.
And also Eva Chipiuk. Thank you so much for joining me today. So can you tell me, Carrie, what is the situation? What happened to you, and how does this go forward to today, where now we are filing lawsuit against the government?
So, like everyone, when COVID hit, we were isolated. I lived on acreage at the time, and I was listening to all of the news we could. We were absorbing all the information we were being given on TV and radio. And with thought, my husband and I decided to get our vaccine. My elderly mother was living with us at the time. I have children in the house. Everything I was being told and things I was listening to, they were saying if we took this vaccine, the government were saying if we took this vaccine that hopefully things could go back to normal. So my husband and I wanted that very much for our family, for things to return to normal like everybody else. So April 21st, 2021, my husband and I went and got AstraZeneca, and with no effects afterwards, just a sore arm. That was it. We had also always gotten the flu shot, so we figured or hoped that this would be similar. When it came time to get our second vaccine, we were told that AstraZeneca was no longer available. Canada had pulled it. They said, they again being the government, told us that it was causing health effects in people that were taking it, so they pulled it off the market. So I was forced to mix. So at this point where I lived, I had to choose between Pfizer or Moderna, and I picked Pfizer. I immediately got sick, and it was normal flu-like symptoms that we'd been told was happening to people who were getting the vaccine, that some people were having reactions to it. My husband and I got it at the same time. We had the same symptoms. It was flu symptoms, nothing unusual, until the 7th day. My husband got better and I got worse. It moved into my tonsils, and I was put on antibiotics for tonsil stones. 3 days later, I was put on antibiotics and told that if I wasn't feeling better in 3 days, to go back to my general doctor. The next day, the only way I can describe it is my brain felt like it was on fire. It was a burning sensation. It was very painful. It was so painful, my body's reaction was to start getting sick, start vomiting. And so I was doing this like every 20 minutes. And at this point now, I'd been sick for 9 days and was getting sicker. I couldn't stop throwing up, so my husband said, that's enough, we're going to emergency. He took me into emergency. On my way there, the Bell's palsy set in. My face dropped. I thought I was having a stroke. I got into the hospital. They took me into emergency and I stayed there for a few hours. They kept an eye on me and they said that from what they could see, it was Bell's palsy, and they gave me some antibiotics. They put me on steroids and sent me home. At the time, the hospital was full of COVID patients. And so they really didn't want you there unless you had to be there. So I went home, but I had been given all these medications in the hospital. But once they wore off at home, all the symptoms came back again. The fire in my brain, the vomiting, everything returned. So I went back to the hospital where I was admitted.
So the doctors have come back to you and they're saying that this is caused from your injection that you had. Now, Eva, this moving forward, we're talking about lawsuits here. Now, there's a threshold where damages have to be recognized by officials in some capacity. I'm assuming before you can bring a lawsuit, and then the lawsuit can't just be. We're actually going forward with this. Tell me about the process behind that.
So with the lawsuit, we're bringing forward a very large lawsuit that encompasses both the federal government health ministers and AHS, so that's Alberta Health Services, because they deliver the vaccine and they're responsible for the medical system in Alberta. And thirdly, to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. So our public national broadcasting, that's mainly federally funded. And I'm going to go back to the health minister and the federal government and why that's one of the focuses and very important in this lawsuit. In one thing that many Canadians, I don't think, appreciate or have heard in the last 3 years is that in approving these vaccines, the Minister of Health removed the requirement for the COVID vaccines to be either safe or effective. So those requirements weren't there. They changed the test for the COVID-19 vaccine to be that the risk was less, there was more benefit, than there was risk. But how do you determine if there's more benefit to risk when you don't know whether it's safe or effective or what that measure is? Mm-hmm. And so the reason the lawsuit is a little bit more complicated, like I said, with the plaintiffs, and we're including the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, is because that message, like you heard Carrie say, was delivered to Canadians for 2-3 years nonstop.
That's right.
Go get the COVID vaccine. It's safe and it's effective. While those requirements were not there for the COVID-19 vaccine specifically.
So that's So we're in a case where it's been proven, it's been set forward. This information is out there, and are there other lawsuits like this, or is this one of the first of its kind?
From as far as I know, there's one lawsuit in Manitoba, and that's specific to the AstraZeneca, and that goes again to what Carrie was saying, is that the AstraZeneca was pulled off the market. And I believe there was a severe injury as well, and maybe death. But they're targeting specifically the AstraZeneca because it was allowed in Canada, then pulled off the shelves. And in those cases, there were significant adverse impacts as a result of the AstraZeneca. So they've sued the federal government similarly as we did here, but also AstraZeneca. And in that case, there was one difference as well, is that the employer was demanding it. In this case with Carrie, there wasn't an employer demanding it, and that can complicate a lawsuit. In this case, Carrie took it because she heard the federal government, AHS, CBC, all of the news repeating to Canadians that this is safe and effective and you need to get it. Trust the science. shot of hope, all these things that we heard for 3 years, 2 years on the regular.
So, Carrie, is this something that you're going to have to suffer for the rest of your life, or is there a chance that this could possibly be alleviated from you?
No, it's permanent damage. I have permanent hearing loss. I require a hearing aid now. I have permanent vision loss. My face is paralyzed, and has the nerves and stuff have connected incorrectly. So now I have permanent damage. I continue to do some physiotherapy, but I'm not seeing really any changes. I also have changes in my head with my memory, and I take a lot of medications now, so that makes me have brain fog as well.
Well, I'm sorry for your situation there, and thank you for having the courage though to bring this forward, absolutely, and set a precedence for other Canadians to possibly have the courage like you to come forward as well. And thank you, Eva, for representing her in this case. What kind of timeline are we looking at for this? Could this be some legal battle that goes on for decades, or is this something that we might see some sort of progress on relatively quickly here?
Law never travels fast. That's one thing for sure. I think the time is ripe now, though, is that a lot of these cases have been quiet for a while. And I think people are having more courage to talk about this, like Carrie is. And I think that that's important. I think this is, it's not just about the legal side, but the political atmosphere to hear these cases. So I think I do expect it to take a while. That's usually how it works in the legal system, unfortunately.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming on today and telling your story.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.